Hey everyone, we're live at bullbuster.net, and today I want to talk to you about getting started in land-based shark fishing. So this is definitely a growing sport. The internet's connected a lot of people to learn how to shark fish, and this video is more about getting started in land-based shark fishing. So it's going to be about learning what gear you need, different baits, different techniques, different resources. But a lot of it is about preserving the sport and not messing it up. There's several things that you can do that can mess up a lot of things in the sport, and therefore it's kind of good to know this as you're starting so that you don't create the same problems that have already happened before. So the first thing when getting started in land-based shark fishing is be respectful of your spot. Uh, if you're going to different clubs, shark fishing clubs, or you're watching a bunch of YouTube videos and you're seeing all this stuff, you're learning, you're going to go fishing, but you actually need to respect the spot of other people. You know, they did the favor of showing you how to fish. And the last thing you want to do is leave a bunch of trash there and get that spot banned for other people that are fishing there. So be respectful of the spot that you use. Don't leave trash, clean up after yourself, and kind of learn what's going on. I recommend shark fishing at night, especially if you're near like a major city. I'm from South Florida, so this is a big tourism city. So you really don't want to be shark fishing around tons of people that are swimming. Now, there's plenty of beaches around the country that are more rural, and you have plenty of beach yourself. And in that case, shark fishing during the day is fine. But don't go out there with hundreds of people swimming around and catch a shark. It's just not going to be good for that beach. And the next thing you have happening is local council meetings and all this kind of crap that you really don't want to have to deal with that closes down the beach. So please do this even if you're being a tourist coming down to different beaches from other areas. Be respectful of the beach. Kind of get to know the spot. If it's a spot where there's lots of people swimming again, fish at night. If it's a spot where there's not a lot of people, just respect the spot and leave it like you found it. So yeah, that's one thing. So the other thing is now how are you going to learn to shark fish? Now more than ever, there's more resources on the internet than ever before. So if you look at some old, let's say blacktip H videos or some old land shark fishing videos, there's also videos or articles on our website, bullbuster.net. Have a lot of information written by bullbuster.net writers, and you can learn a lot of stuff there. I'll put some resources for that and some links below. There's also the South Florida Shark Club. It's probably the best resource for land-based shark fishing history. The president of the club and the guy that maintains the site, William Fundora, has done a great job over the years of really maintaining the history of land-based shark fishing and keeping the legend of this shark fisherman named Rene de Dios alive. And especially, for me and many fishermen in South Florida and actually elsewhere, Will keeping Rene de Dios's memory alive has been a big inspiration. Yeah, so take a look at many of the resources that are online, and then let's get into basics of shark rigs and basic gear that you're going to need to shark fish. In the beginning, most shark fishermen are not going to be going for the big 13 plus foot sharks, and so a lot of people stumble on shark fishing, bringing some gear that they might use for other types of fishing, and going to the beach and putting out a shark bait, let's say with 30 to 50 pound test, and catching your first shark up to maybe 6-7 feet. This is also a great thing to do with your kids. Let's say you have a beach vacation somewhere and you fish elsewhere offshore, boating, and you have the gear that can handle 30 to 50 pound test, mono and braid. Then go out to the beach and take your kids and catch their first shark. It's a great way to use the carcasses from after a day of fishing. But what many people end up doing is they do this for a little while and then they get hooked up into a shark that just made the gear that you are using look worthless, and it kind of gets you on like the Ahab syndrome, which is like going to chase the bigger shark. And this happened to me personally. I was fishing a 50 wide in South Florida, and yeah, I got hooked up onto it was probably a big bull shark, and it just pretty much spooled the 50 wide. I don't think I had braided backing, and no, actually I got cut off by a shrimp boat, but this bull shark just pretty much stripped the 50 wide and made it look like a toy, and that's what really got me into looking into these bigger reels, into joining the shark clubs, and to seeing like what does it take to catch a bigger shark. So yeah, in that range, you're really going to want to go into like an 80 or 130. And what we found over the years as this sport's grown is a lot of people were using the old 14-0 Senators. Actually, as the South Florida Shark Club was using the old 14-0 Senator reels, and they worked. And back in the day, a lot of the sharks that were caught were killed, so it didn't matter what reel you were using because the old 14-0 Senator. Well, actually, it did matter because the old 14-0 Senator was probably the best reel because it dealt with the sand on the beach the best, and it lasted a long time, and it didn't cost a lot of money. So, but in more recent years, as the sport has shifted to more of a catch and release fishery, the big 130s and the big 80 wides are really the way to go because you can really put the pressure on the fish, which is better for release. And that's more important for sharks like the hammerhead that are more erratic in their behavior, and fighting it for too long can really mess them up. A tiger shark is not really going to mess with them because a lot of times people fight tiger sharks, they almost don't know they're hooked. They get to the boat, and then they turn around. They're not a really erratic shark. So 80 wides and 130s are the reels that you're going to want to use for these bigger sharks. Yeah, you're going to spend a little bit more money. You might have to maintenance the reels a lot more, but these are the reels that you're going to want to use for big sharks. Now, let's talk about leaders. There have been, and this is something I personally have not kept up with 100%, but in most recent years, it seems like there's been a lot of innovations as far as leaders go, and one of our ambassadors and writers, Terra Firma Tackle, has really gone out and looked at different types of leaders and the possibilities that come with that, and I think it's helped them catch more pelagic type sharks rather than maybe a lot of people were catching hammerhead sharks, having the baits on the bottom, and the hammerhead, the way their head's set up is they're looking on the bottom and they pin stingrays down, and they're looking on the bottom, but terra firma with like these floated rigs, which I'm not going to talk about in this video because it's not my expertise, but it seems like they're catching more pelagic sharks that react better to a bait being suspended in the water versus on the bottom. So yeah, a basic shark rig, you have two different ones that I'm going to talk about. The first one's probably the shark rig that you're going to use when you are targeting sharks from the beach. That first situation I described, you're using like a smaller shark reel. You probably have reels that you've been using for offshore fishing. Now you're taking it to the beach. Maybe you're taking your kids to catch their first shark. In this case, you're going to want to use a leader you can use straight wire up to like 6-7 feet, and that's kind of limit you to the shark size of 6-7 feet because the abrasion of a shark skin usually will mess with the mono and actually break you off when it's rubbing against mono. So actually, if you're targeting a shark with your kid, it's fine to use a 6-foot leader because you really don't want to hook that 10-foot shark on the smaller reels anyways. So yeah, in that case, it's just going to break off, and that's going to be fine. So yeah, that's the first type of rig. The second type of rig is to use a heavier wire. 19 wire is probably the best wire for land-based shark fishing rig. It's a lot less expensive than cable, and cable over time actually can be worn through. Let's say a tiger shark's, it's smaller pieces of wire, so the teeth are going to rub against it, and they're going to start breaking down the smaller wires. Versus the 19 strand wire is a lot harder, and because it's a lot harder, it's better for at least the tooth portion of your rig. So in this case, the best rig is going to be a short, maybe 3 to 4 section piece of rig of wire, single strand 19 wire, and then connect it to a heavy swivel to heavy mono. And I recommend bulbastore.net, you look at the 1,000-pound mono, because the 1,000-pound mono, it's good on your hands and you can use it multiple times. So what you will end up doing is you'll end up cutting off the wire section and replacing it, and then having the long piece of heavy mono behind it that you use over and over and over again. And in a way, with those shark rigs, what you'll have is that several rigs that you use over and over and over again with a 1,000-pound, and then what you have left over is that piece of wire for the shark's teeth. All right, so there's plenty of resources online. I'm gonna to go further into this. I'm gonna put a bunch of links in the description below to those resources, to some baits, to some articles that get further into this information, and just give it a look. And yeah, welcome to land-based shark fishing. Treat the sport right and spend more time fishing.